The bells did not ring again. One was enough. The name lingered across the kingdom long after its echo had faded. No one understood why. No one could explain why the sound had stirred something deep within them. Yet throughout the capital, people repeated the same unfamiliar name beneath their breath. Aaron. Some spoke it as though remembering an old friend. Others whispered it without realizing they had done so. Children asked their parents who Aaron had been. The parents had no answer. Inside the royal archives, every scribe searched feverishly through scroll after scroll. Royal records, temple records, genealogies, songs, journals, even the oldest stone inscriptions. Nothing, not a single mention. It was as though the name had never belonged to the world at all. The king stood silently among them. "Impossible," he whispered. "If he lived, if he stood at the center of everything, how can nothing remain?" No scholar answered, because none of them had ever encountered an absence so complete. Far below the temple, Elira still looked at Vaelor. No, at Aaron. The name had changed nothing about his face, yet somehow, everything had changed. "You said," she whispered, "before history gave you another name." He nodded. "Yes. What happened to Aaron?" For the first time, Aaron did not answer. Not because he wished to hide the truth, because remembering it still hurt. The completed circle beneath them released another slow pulse. This one felt different, not like memory, like mourning. And somewhere beyond the visible light, the horizon answered, not with 12 lights, only 11. Elira followed the distant horizon. The 11 lights remained, steady, patient, waiting. She counted them again, once, then twice, then a third time. There was no mistake, only 11. Slowly, she turned back toward Aaron. There were 12. Yes, there are only 11. Yes. Silence settled between them, not uncertain, inevitable. Her voice grew quieter. The 12th never returned. Aaron lowered his eyes. No, he never did. The words carried no bitterness, only acceptance. Above them, another gentle pulse crossed the kingdom. Far beyond the capital, people awakened from dreams they could not explain. This time, they no longer saw 12 travelers, only 11. One place remained empty, not forgotten, waiting. Below the temple, Elira stepped closer. So the stories were true. They were. Someone never came home. Yes. She searched his face. The answer already frightened her. "Do you know what became of him?" Aaron did not speak. Instead, he looked toward the crossing, toward the endless light beyond it. His expression softened, not as one remembering another, as one remembering himself. "I have spent centuries," he said quietly, "listening to people mourn a man, without ever realizing they were speaking to him." The chamber fell completely silent. Even the completed circle seemed to pause. Elira felt the truth before she understood it. Her heartbeat slowed. "No," she whispered. Aaron met her eyes. The kindness she had seen within the memories had never left them. "I was the 12th. No sound followed his words. No thunder, no light, only silence, the kind that arrives when the truth no longer needs to defend itself. Elira stared at him, not because she doubted him, because she suddenly understood why every story had felt incomplete. "You," she whispered, "never came back." Aaron nodded. "No, but I'm standing here, now." "Yes." She struggled to understand. What happened? For a long while, he simply watched the light beyond the crossing. When he finally spoke, his voice carried the weight of centuries. "The crossing was never a road that everyone walked together. It welcomed each traveler differently. The journey each of us took belonged only to us. The completed circle beneath them answered with another quiet pulse. The memory returned, not as a distant vision, as though the chamber itself remembered. The 12 stood before the open gate. No fear, no hesitation, only quiet expectation. Elira smiled at each of them in turn. One by one, they stepped into the light. No struggle, no violence, no farewell filled with despair, only trust. The light embraced them. Then, the memory changed. Not all at once, almost imperceptibly. One by one, figures began returning. The first, then another, then another. Each emerged carrying the same peaceful expression, changed, yet unmistakably themselves. Families welcomed them home with tears of joy. The crossing had kept its promise. Then the 11th returned. The waiting crowd rejoiced. Songs filled the air. Children ran forward laughing. Only one place remained empty. One family continued waiting. One pair of eyes remained fixed upon the light, and the gate remained open. The memory did not end. It waited, just as those gathered around the crossing had waited. The songs slowly faded. The celebration became silence. The families who had welcomed their loved ones home remained together. Only one place stood empty. No one spoke. No one dared. Because hope had not yet surrendered. The gate remained open. Its light neither dimmed nor called. It simply waited. Elira watched the memory unfold. "How long?" she asked softly. "How long did they wait for you?" Aaron's eyes never left the gathering before him. "Days." The memory changed. The flowers left beside the crossing began to wither. Then weeks. The children stopped asking when the last traveler would return. Then years. The youngest among them grew into adults. The elders who had waited each morning slowly disappeared from the crowd. Still, the gate remained open, and every dawn, someone came. Not because they believed he would surely return, because they refused to be the first person who wasn't there. If he did. Tears gathered in Elira's eyes. They never stopped waiting. No, they kept faith longer than history remembers. The memory shifted once more. The city itself began to change. The joyful songs became quieter. Questions replaced certainty. Then questions became fear. Not because anyone had seen evil, because no one could explain absence. Finally, Elira turned toward Aaron. "You could have come back." Her voice trembled. "Couldn't you?" For the first time, pain crossed his face. Real, human, ancient. "Yes," the single word echoed through the chamber. Elira's breath caught. "You chose to stay." Aaron closed his eyes. "I chose," he whispered, "to make sure the crossing would never close behind the others." The completed circle released another quiet pulse. Not triumphant, not tragic, grateful. For the first time, the crossing itself seemed to remember the one who had remained beside it. Elira could not speak. The truth settled over her slowly, not because it was difficult to understand, because it was impossible to imagine. "You stayed," she whispered. "For them." Aaron nodded. The crossing was alive. It was never a doorway built of stone. It was a promise. If no one remained, the promise would break. The completed circle pulsed softly beneath their feet. Its rhythm no longer resembled memory. It resembled gratitude. The memory returned once more. The last of the 11 stepped back into the world. Their families embraced them. The city rejoiced. No one noticed that the light beyond the crossing had begun to weaken. except one man, Aaron. He turned back toward the gate, not because someone commanded him, not because prophecy demanded it, because he understood something the others had not yet seen. The crossing was closing, not forever, but long enough to separate two worlds. Elira reached for him. Aaron. He looked back. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. Everything that needed saying already lived in their eyes. "If you stay," she whispered, "you may never return." He smiled, not with courage, with peace. "Then make sure," he answered softly, "that they never fear this place." Before she could reach him, he stepped backward into the light, not fleeing, not falling, choosing. The crossing answered. Its light deepened. The fading horizon steadied. The gate remained open, long enough for every remaining traveler to pass safely home. Then it closed, not like a prison, like the final page of a book. The memory dissolved. Elira stood frozen. "So you saved them?" Aaron lowered his head. "I stayed," he whispered, "so no one else would have to." Silence returned to the chamber, not the silence of mystery, the silence of understanding. Elira could no longer see the being the world had feared, only the man who had remained behind. So they forgot. Aaron looked toward the completed circle. No, they remembered, but memory cannot survive untouched by grief. Above them, the memory continued. The years passed. Those who had witnessed the last crossing grew old. Their children inherited the story, but not the certainty. The man who had remained beyond the gate became the man who never returned. The man who never returned became the man the crossing had taken. The man the crossing had taken became the guardian of the gate. Another generation passed. The guardian became the keeper. The keeper became the watcher. Another century. The watcher became the one who would not let others pass. Another century. Fear filled the spaces where memory had once lived. The gate no longer welcomed. It demanded. The guardian no longer protected. He imprisoned. The stories changed. Not all at once. One frightened generation at a time, until mothers warned their children, "Do not go near the crossing. The one beyond it will never let you return." The name Aaron disappeared first, then the traveler, then the friend, then the guardian. Only one name remained. Vaelor. Elira closed her eyes, not to escape the truth, to endure it. "They buried you," she whispered. "They buried who you were." Aaron slowly shook his head. "No. They buried the part of themselves that still believed the horizon was a promise." He looked toward the light beyond the crossing. His voice remained gentle. "I never became the god of ruin. The world simply needed someone to carry the weight of its fear." The completed circle released another quiet pulse. This one reached farther than any before, across forgotten mountains, across silent seas, across every land where the old stories had become warnings, and somewhere beyond every remembered road, a lone traveler stopped, lifted their head, and smiled, as though after centuries, someone had finally spoken the truth aloud. The pulse faded, not because the crossing had fallen silent, because it had finally been heard. Far above the hidden chamber, the high priest remained alone within the oldest sanctuary. For a long time, he stood before the ancient inscription, not reading it, remembering it. He slowly lifted his hand. Then, for the first time in the history of the kingdom, he erased the final ritual mark carved beneath the words, not in anger, not in shame, in gratitude, below him. The king stood at the highest window of the palace. The capital stretched toward every horizon. No longer a fortress, no longer a prison built around fear. A beginning. The commander of the royal guard approached quietly. "Your Majesty, the people are waiting." The king did not turn. "What are they waiting for?" "They are asking what we should tell them." A long silence followed. Then the king smiled. A weary smile. "The truth." The commander hesitated. "All of it?" The king looked toward the temple. "No, only the first step. Tell them that the crossing was never our enemy." Far below, Elira stood beside Aaron. Neither reached for the other, neither needed to. The distance between them had long since disappeared. "You carried their fear," she said softly, "for centuries." "Yes. And now?" Aaron looked beyond the crossing, toward the 11 distant lights waiting beyond every known horizon. "Now," he whispered, "they must choose whether to carry hope instead." Another gentle pulse crossed the completed circle. This time, it was answered immediately, not by one distant light, not by 11, but by countless small lights, awakening one after another beyond the edge of the known world. Elira watched them spread across the darkness, like dawn arriving before the sun. "They're coming," Aaron smiled, not with certainty, with quiet faith. "No," he said, "they've already begun."